Hello everybody, it's Ronnie with Whip and Chain. I work with Maggie and Lauren to bring you crochet tutorials, and we do a weekly series called Texture Tuesdays. We're doing that this year. And I just did a first pattern, I don't think the tutorial's released yet, on a gingham stitch. And this is another take on it. This is the griddle stitch done in the gingham style of crocheting, and it's actually very easy to do. It's just single and double crochets, and what's nice about this pattern, you can flip it and both sides are just about the same, which is very nice. It has a very nice texture to it. It's not a heavy texture, but it's definitely a texture, and it works up beautiful. And you can see where you carry your yarn, but it's not distracting to the whole piece. It works. It works. Now these squares are 10 spaces across, but they're only 8 rows high. Trying to do that so the square was more even on all sides. But this is beautiful. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Again, it's the griddle stitch done in the gingham style. So the first thing we're going to talk about is hook size. Now this is a 5. That's what I did this on. I tried to start it on a 6, which is a J. And it showed these lines drastically through. Now, I'm generally a tighter crocheter, so for it to show my carry-in lines very distinctly, kind of made me a little nervous, so I took it down to a 5, and a 5 was the sweet spot. But for me, so you're going to have to play around. So before you would try, I would suggest before you do a large project with this, I would suggest you do a little swatch to figure out what size hook you need. Okay, so because I did it in a 5, I'm going to stick with the 5. And for the colors, you can pick whatever you want. I do suggest 2 colors that come close to each other, but you don't have to. Your options are limitless, and it's not a bad stitch. You do have ends where you have to weave in, so that's never my fun part, but it's not too bad. So before we get started, I want to talk about stitch count for these projects. This one in particular is done in 10s, 10, 20, 30, so forth. And then when you're at your end, you add 1. Okay? And you need an odd number, like 10, 20, 20 is an even, 10, 20, 30, not the 30, but the 3. The 3 is an odd. And you need that because you want to begin and end on the same color. So 10, 30, 50, 70, 90, and so forth. And when you get your width that you want, add 1. I hope you understand that. I hope I'm saying it right. Just remember you need an odd beginning number so you can start and finish on the same color. Okay, if you ever have any questions on how anything is done, you can please come find us on Facebook under Whip and Chain, WIP, and Chain is for work in progress. And you can ask any questions that you can there. Maggie does an amazing job at staying up to date on people's questions, people referring for help, people, whatever they need. And if she's not sure, she'll reach out to myself or her daughter, Lauren. We really try to do everything we can to help you. And our group on there just hit 80, which I want to say thank you to everybody for that. That we just did not expect the whole beautiful people that we're getting on there. And I could do a few shout outs, but there's so many on there that are just kind and helpful, and if they can help, they will. And it's the best group ever. And if you like our videos, can you please like and follow us? We'd really appreciate it. All right, so now you got your stitch count down. We talked about stitch, we talked about hook size. My sample was done in 30. Now, I go from light and work my way darker, 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 but you can also start yourself dark and work yourself lighter. It's totally up to you. If you, whatever your first color is, that's going to be this. And this is my constant color, and I will get back into that very soon. The gray is my constant color, but the white, that's done every other row. The black, every other row. Okay, so my first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 31. $20, 5, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. Okay, let me try to bring you guys in a little bit. Okay, so second chain from the hook, I want you to put in. Now you can use the back loops or the regular chain. I like using the back loops because it gives you a very nice finished edge. In the first stitch, I want you to put a single crochet. Every row from here to the end will start with a single crochet. That's really important to know. And then the next stitch is a double crochet. And that's exactly what the griddle stitch is. It's a single, then a double, a single, then a double. That's all it is. And I want you to do total the first 10 chains. So we already did 2, so we need to do 8 more. Okay. Single, and then double, and keep going. Six, 7, 8, 'That is my dog that usually sits here very quietly. He's going crazy, so I apologize. This is 9. And the last stitch to 10th will always be, when you're changing colors, will always, always, always be a double crochet. You do the first part of your double crochet and you stop. After you've done that, you bring in the next lightest color. And for me, that's gray. Now gray, your second color, is going to be your constant color. I mentioned that a little earlier in the video. This gray will never be cut. So this color that you're putting on will be in every single row. So make sure you pick a color that you want a lot of in this pattern. Usually he just lays here. Today he's being a, hear him? Say hi, Moo Moo. Yep, that's my Moo. Yep, okay. So you just drape your next color over your hook. Do not do a slip knot or nothing or anything. You pull it through. And now I need you to do 10 chains of this. And again, you'll always start in single crochet and end in double. All right, but the white is going to travel with you. So as you're doing it, watch, put your hook in your chain, your next stitch, and you take that white over, okay, and you bring it through. You leave the ends go. We will tuck them in at the end. And there's your single, okay? And then the next will be a double. So it would be single, double, single, double, single, double, until you get to 10, that you did 10 of them, okay? And just make sure you bring your first color along for the ride. Four. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And this one, you do half of the double and then you stop. Now, remember how I told you the second color is your constant? The concert, when you're switching colors, if you're not using your constant color, it will always drop to the back. The changeable color, like the white and the black for me, will always come to the front, okay? So whenever you're changing, the constant will go in the back, and the stability, the constant will go in the back, and the one that you change will always come up front. And you bring it through. Okay, now we're going to do the last 10, and make sure you bring the color you're not using along for the ride. That's very important. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You know how I told you always begin on a single crochet? Well, you'll always end on a double. And the trick to this stitch is, if you're just not going to do the gingham stitch, you're going to just do the griddle, which is single, double, single, double. Your stitches always have to be even, your stitch count. And you always start with a single crochet and you always end with a double crochet. So if you're just doing a griddle blanket, the stitch is single and double, single and double, single. That's the whole pattern of this. But make sure you always start on a single and end on a double. And Yeah, that's the important part. And when you turn, since you end on a double, when you turn and you start, I'm going to have a single above the double. So it's rotating. So every stitch, whatever that stitch is, I got the hiccups, whatever stitch that is, the one above it is going to be the other one. That's how it always works. Okay, I had to let my dog out. There was something going on out there and he was crying. Anyway, so I hope you understand that. I'm just trying to incorporate a really cool pattern to go with the textured stitch, trying something a little different, trying to spice up the textured series, because the last couple with my losing my mother-in-law and trying to do blankets in honor of her, it's just been tough around here, and the sadness has been very difficult. So everything has been a little tough, but we're getting there. So that's the first row. So when you get to your second row, you just simply turn it like you're turning pages in a book. Okay, so now the only yarn that you bring along in your travels on this stitch is the working yarn. You never try to hide in your tails on this one. Okay, so I'm going to chain one, then the first stitch, single crochet, and notice while I'm going into the single crochet, I am making sure I'm going over the yarn that I'm carrying. And the next one will be a double. And the next one will be a single, and so forth. If you feel like the yarn got a little loose, you can always pull that carrying yarn. Now, my constant yarn, I'll bring up here. My changeable yarn, and there, and turn. You always end on a double crochet. So that means you always start each block on a single crochet. Okay, my last one, I'm going to be changing yarn, is a double, remember? So double, and this always drops to the back. Okay, and pull. Now start our last block. Single, then double. Single, and then double. And you're going to do a total of 8 rows of this. And your last stitch again, as always, is a double. and then you turn. And you will keep doing this until you get your 8 rows. All right. So we're gonna just pretend that I got to my 8th row. I'm gonna show you what you do next. Okay. And this will be the same pattern that you do all the way up for this blanket. Okay, so we're gonna act like I'm changing. Okay, so you cut your changeable yarn, not your constant. Then you want to bring in your 3rd color, and my 3rd color would be black. Okay, so I pull this out. Okay, now we're going to act like we're getting to the end of the 8th row. Okay, so it'd be a double, a single, and do most of your double right here, and you stop. You cut your changeable color, and you bring up your constant color, wrap and go through. Okay, chain 1, and it's always a single crochet in the first stitch, and then double and single, and you keep going. Double, single, double, single, double, single. Now our double. You do the first 2 parts, you drop, and then you introduce your new color, last color, and pull through. You leave your end alone. You just grab your working yarn, and remember, first stitch you always start the single, and then a double, and then a single, and a double. And this is exactly how you do it. Single and double, single and double, single, and your last one would be a double, you pull your changing yard to the front always, and the constant stays in the back. Okay, and then single and double, and then you do 8 rows of this, and then you revert back to the white, and then you just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So the gingham stitch, the whole stitch for this Texture Tuesday, is single and double, single and double. And if you look closely, you can see, and the stitches on top of it are reversed, so it gives it a really nice texture. So that's the color. So you Start with the white and gray, then you go to the gray and black, and you go back to the white and gray, or whatever colors you choose. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, something different just to spin on the Texture Tuesday. If there's anything we can do to help you, can you please come find us on Facebook under Whip and Chain, WIP and Chain, and that's for work in progress. And if this video was helpful, can you please hit that like button at the bottom and hit that subscribe button? We'd really appreciate your support. Until our next video, bye everybody.